Now, at a time like this, we all love to turn to sport to give ourselves a break, to take our minds off things. The AFL managed to get through one round without crowds before being put on hold over the weekend for at least the next 2 months, probably the whole season. We'll see. Cricket, of course, scrapped crowds a couple of weeks back and then finished up. The National Basketball League was called off in the middle of its final series. The AFL Women's Comp has been scrapped. Now in the big one, what we've all been dreading but expecting, the Olympics seems certain to be delayed for a full year. Due to start in late July in Tokyo, they're expected to be delayed for 12 months now to try and have a crack at them next July. Otherwise, be horrendous to have to wait 4 years for them. Anyway, that's what the Australian Olympic organisation certainly is planning for, because Australia has said we can't get a team together in these circumstances. We're out.
Last Thursday was a different set of circumstances to when standing here today. I mean, over the weekend there's been dramatic change in our own country and across the world. The IOC said that last week as well. If you might recall, I did say that things could change. Well, things have changed and you must address those changes.
Yeah, Australia and a couple of other nations, I think Canada, getting ahead of the curve here. Tokyo is finished. Tragic, but hasn't been announced yet. But there's no way known the Tokyo Olympics will be going ahead this year. Now, again, when sporting comps are cancelled, this is not just frivolous. Sure, we'll all miss the sport, but people are going to lose jobs, businesses are going to lose money, and athletes who have trained for months and years are going to be idle and frustrated by all this. Yet it seems inevitable, well, at least to everyone in this country, except the National Rugby League. Just now, how they think they can have a competition is beyond me. There's talk of isolating players and playing the whole season without crowds and maybe having half of the competition playing in Queensland and half in Sydney. It just won't happen. The New Zealand Warriors, who have set themselves up permanently in Australia now to get around the travel bans, are getting calls from home, unsurprisingly, from their wives and girlfriends to get back across the ditch. It's all over, fellas. They should go home. The NRL will be toast for this season. And we were going to talk about sport and the NRL and the madness of them pretending they've got a season. We've actually just got the breaking news here from the Daily Telegraph. The NRL season has been suspended indefinitely, effective immediately. So there are. It was obvious they were going to have to do that. Like the AFL and other competitions, they'll be hoping that at some stage they can get something, a shorter season, cranked up later in the year. But, of course, none of us need to get our hopes up too much for any of that. Let's catch up on the latest today with Justin Smith, who joins us from Melbourne. Good to talk to you again, Justin. No AFL. Chris. Now the NRL's finally realised what was pretty obvious. It's tragic for those organisations, for the athletes, for the people who would have looked to sport, but it's just inevitable. We just can't do it.
I mean, and the taxi drivers and Uber drivers that take people to the ground, you know, the people that sell things and make their money off the AFL and media people and everyone that is connected on those sides. But yeah, I mean, the NRL. I just hear that news coming through. You and I are not going to get any prizes for having guessed that, are we? The fact that the NRL were going to shut that down, they were always going to have to do it. But I was talking to Jeff Kennett, former Premier of Victoria and also president of Hawthorn last night on the show, and it was good. It was a hell of an interview, and he was very sombre, but he was also very quiet. I mean, but he was also very uplifting in the fact that he was talking about how we just need to pull together, and that we've never seen anything like that. All the things that have been said before, but I was just thinking before and listening to you talk even before the break there about us all being in this together. It is going to be really great when we get out the other side and we play that first game of footy and we sort of get that first dose of sunshine and we realise that the crisis is over. You know, maybe we're just going to appreciate those things a little bit more than we have been. Well, there's been a lot stripped bare by this crisis already, I think. A lot of the things that are bad with our country, with our society, and a lot of the things that are good. There's no doubt about that, and we'll see more of that. What's your take on the way people are behaving, on the reluctance of some to embrace social distancing, I suppose, just the basics that we're all going to have to get very, very used to? Yeah, well, it felt like every stupid person in Australia banded together and went to Bondi the other night, didn't they? And that was sort of disappointing. But then I guess the rest of the country looked at that and they said, oh, come on, don't do that. And I went to the supermarket today and it was just a hell of a lot calmer. The stock was on the shelf. People were just a lot more relaxed and they understood the gravity of the situation, but they were a lot more relaxed about buying food, about dealing with each other. And that's sort of where we need to be. We need to be calm in the right places, but also very mindful in those other places. I think with the social distancing, we're just going to have to get a hell of a lot better at it and change our mindset. But we're getting there. We're getting there. I think we are.
Yeah, and I think this is pretty sudden. I think we've had to change our behaviour very, very quickly, and the last few days really would have delivered that message front and centre. Yeah,
absolutely. We look at things like the Olympics. It's going to hurt if it is not there, and I know we get a lot of inspiration from sport, but we've got to look at each other, I think, for a little bit of that inspiration and friendship and I think I even said it last week, it is a little bit corny to talk about friendship and coming together and, to hell with left and right and black and white and all those things that we've talked about in the past. Yeah. We've just got to look at each other a hell of a lot differently.
And to hell with Richmond, because they're not going to top this year, I don't think.
Hey.
Thanks for joining us, Justin.